And I realized I type kind of loudly. I've been told this before, but I'm gonna try to be quieter. This is fun. Hmm. Hmm. What feels right? Mm. Okay. Cool. We're live. 555 for live. So, I don't even know where to dive in from here. Whew. I guess we're going to. Hold on. Alright. 12 minutes. So let's start with the current state of Ki. Right now, what we're working with, I know I got a lot going on here. Is we have our web version of Ki. Okay. And what I was describing this as was the second brain, something I can use to capture all of these different thoughts on different ideas, etc. And it creates this essentially digital memory that I can dive into. Some of these are just currently a lot of this is being built out, but the two areas that I was capturing a lot in were topics on building Ki and sharing Ki. And so what I mean by that is building whatever this is that I've been trying to get out of my head for so long. And then how do I actually, at the same time as I'm building it, also put it out and document what it is that I'm building as I am building it. Because for so long, I think I've just been trying to wait for this perfect moment to start sharing, and everything has fallen into place, and I've built everything that needs to be built, and I've figured everything out all by myself. And that's just fucking not possible. I'm over here trying to create something in a vacuum chamber when I've noticed in all the different areas of my life, what I've been trying to do is find ways to be building with other people. That is what I've been craving, and just working and seeing how other people think and bringing other thoughts into it and other people's perspectives. And what is so hard about that, or what I've been struggling with, is that I have not been able to clearly articulate myself to get to the point of ever having this conversation, of understanding, of being able to explain what it is that I'm building so that other people can understand what I'm building. But I have to stop trying to explain because I don't even know what the fuck I'm building. I'm building a tool to help me build what I'm trying to build. Okay, I've gotten a little lost, clearly. So let's just keep going. And I guess, in terms of my current state, this is the working zone that I'm testing everything out in. All of these thoughts are being captured and it's connected to Supabase as the database. And this front end for the web is using Next.js, so a web app. And basically, what's happening is I'm able to capture my thoughts and just. I think a big part of this has been that I started journaling 3 years ago, just under, and from there I became quite aware of my mind, and from there, that my thoughts and all that was passing through my mind, um, a lot of it was out of my control because of habits in my past that led up to how I was thinking, my mindset then. But I also, through time and diving deeper into journaling and running and all these different habits, exploring myself, it helped me to understand that I can also train my mind however I want, like whatever I want to accomplish, whatever mindset, it all comes down to what's going on internally in your mind. That it's an intentional act, that becoming who you are is an intentional act. I like that. Becoming who you are, like who you are, becoming who you are is an intentional act. Becoming who you are is an intentional act. And why I wrote that down, bars, is because I'm always saying, or, oh God, okay, it's an intentional act. And so the things that, when I say building, this is a tool for builders. I'm talking about people that are intentionally creating things in their life, whether it's themselves, whether it's their mindsets, whether it's something outside of them that's external, that people are using digital tools, physical systems, physical buildings, you name it. Like, there, I, I just know that I am drowning in my thoughts, and there's so many different things overlapping, and sometimes it is so difficult for me to find clarity, and I just feel like I am lost in this sea of ambiguity, and I don't really know how to start actually bringing whatever it is that's going on in my mind and make it tangible, to start taking action. And so this is what that is. I want to create a way for you to stop having to think so much, or to start acting, to realize that you are ready, you know everything that you need to know at this very moment, and everything else you're going to figure out along the way, and just start doing. And along the way, through this process of capturing your thinking as you're building, you are documenting the process of what your thought process is as you build this, whatever it is. It's these mini experiments. So that's what I was getting to, that these are it's a self, key is a self, capital S self, exploration platform. And what I mean by that, or a self exploration toolkit, and what I mean by that is that the self, capital S, so your consciousness, this energy, being of energy within us, that we are in this physical form as a human, are experiencing this world as it is, this physical world, and the self. Oh, the self exploration tool. Golly, I just lost my train of thought for a second. The self exploration tool, which means that these are little experiments that you're trying and exploring different avenues, whether it's building this, whatever it is. Like, you are doing something that you've never done before, and you're not sure what the outcomes are going to be, but you are exploring a certain question. That's why I'm like tying in Feynman's 12 questions of questions that are you're curious about, and it ties in. Wow, my thoughts are all over the place. You can see what's happening here. Anyways, I need to just get my thoughts out, and so that's what I was just doing. Let's see how well it transcribes that. And this flow in it of itself, I need to workshop because of, I think I'm figuring out the pipeline as we go, in terms of what's happening when you capture these thoughts. Where are they going? How are they being organized? So, and that's what I'm just doing, captures my thoughts. I'm just going to save it. Rambling on key. Ramblings of a Mad Woman. Building and sharing key. About building and self. And we're going to save that. And so, what happens then is this thought, need to be able to expand and contract this bad boy, is like all of this is, Rachel, stop trying to explain it, but basically if I reload it, you can see that there is a enrichment pipeline where this thought capture is being processed and pulling out emotions, questions that I've raised, tags, summarizing it. 3 years of journaling revealed that while many thoughts stem from uncontrollable past habits, the mind can be deliberately trained. The user emphasizes that intentional internal work is foundational to external achievement and is building a tool to help people move from overthinking to action by capturing and documenting their thinking process as experiments in self-exploration. Whoa. Whew. Chills. Did you just see how I just turned that rambling into, and obviously it needs some work, but it's pretty spot on. 3 years of journaling revealed that while many thoughts stem from uncontrollable past habits, you can't change the past. The mind can be deliberately trained. The user emphasizes, I need to remove the user being part of the summary, emphasizes that intentional internal work is foundational to external achievement. Internal, external, it's all the same. And is building a tool to help people move from overthinking, something that I am plagued with, to action by capturing and documenting their thinking process as experiments in self-exploration. That last part needs a little work in terms of the capturing part helps with the next part of it, which is that I have this specific corpus of thoughts related specifically to the projects I've sorted them into, and with it I can basically chat with my thoughts. And then, so this is kind of the pipeline you're seeing take place. So I have the framework in terms of thoughts are the input, thought captures, and that's why right now I'm focusing on the voice capture as the main input source, because there's a lot of different ways to capture inputs, so you gotta get something to work really well. Capturing your thoughts is easy. Thinking out loud. Okay. Once I capture my thoughts, what happens from there? Well, I was very inspired by Tiago Forte's code, his second brain architecture, and his flow is capture, organize, distill, express. And so what does that look like in this environment? You're capturing with your voice your thoughts. Organizing is when you're tagging them and putting them into the specific projects. Distilling and expression is where I'm in this current exploration zone. So this is where I'm planning again. So what happens now that you've captured your thoughts, you've put them into the specific buckets that you want them to live in, and you can always move them around. And now what? Now it's, how do I distill whatever it is that I'm thinking on into action and expressing? How do I share what I have been building, thoughts and developments on the matter? And so that's where I am now. So then we can go into our code base. And there's so here what we're looking at. Okay. Here what we're looking at is our repository code base where we're building this key system prototype. I don't even know what we call this. Maybe prototype number 3 is what I was thinking, but yeah, prototype number 3 is, so we got the mobile app, we got the web app, and that's what you saw over here. Right on. Okay, so what I was doing basically, or in order to backtrack a bit, I at first created a plan because I was thinking that what needed to happen is for inside of this chat box that the primary distill to express pipeline was going to be creating these. Oh, okay. I have an idea. So, anyways, okay. What I was thinking was, in terms of the distill and express pipeline, what this could look like is that through conversation, chatting with my thoughts, and distilling it down to not just text, which was what this was originally, it would also, or just to get it working, I don't need to over-explain, is creating a flow for it to create flow diagrams, visuals to help distill your thinking. And it would be based off of your own thought captures, but like a corpus of it that you have saved. Whereas I feel like when I'm working with these different LLMs, a lot of the gold in the conversation kind of gets lost in the sauce because you just keep building on top of these conversations until the context runs out, and then you just start a new one, and then all the different revelations that you had while you were conversing with this agent or figuring something out is gone. And I do feel strongly that there is a between your think, or there should be an intermediary between you thinking and you we all are with AI. Big concept is with anything, garbage in, garbage out. So what you're putting in and how you're prompting these agents, these entities, is going to determine what you get out of it. And there's a lot of different ways that you can prompt these agents and or LLMs, and there's going to be more and more ways that you can interact with them, different tools that are coming out. So much. We are in a crazy time period. And with there being the possibility of building whatever you possibly could dream of, both digitally or physically, and using these tools to do so, it's not just what you could build, but it's how you build them. You can use these tools, and so much more is possible in speeds that were never possible before. And it's just a matter of how you are using them. If you're prompting them in the ways that unlocks certain outputs that you're looking for, things you didn't realize were possible. And so I think one of the big things is that I've been feeling very trapped because I have so much I want to share about using these tools, even if there's not something physically out there that I've built yet. I want people to know what I think about, and what I'm creating comes from this everything that I'm doing here, and just trying to understand what I'm building and then bring it to life and make it tangible. Whew. Anyways, so at first I thought that it was going to be, I would chat with my thoughts and be able to create flow diagrams, different like charts that help me to just bring my thoughts together. And it still is something, direction we're going. But Claude can do that pretty freaking well. And honestly, if you've talked with it enough, it will be able to do this. Though it doesn't have, what we have here is, we have these thoughts that we've captured, and you've caught them with this tool. caught them with your key because you were intentionally saving them. It's not just something that you want to get lost in the sauce. Like, I could save this, but then what? So, anyways, I'm kind of losing myself again. So, anyways, that's what this plan was. It was something I created with. I can see how I'm switching all over the place, and it feels like a lot because I'm making this very complicated. Basically, right now, what I'm doing is I'm talking with Claude, and we're planning the next build that we're gonna embark on, if you will. We're kind of at a crossroads in terms of the direction that this product goes, or tool. Right now it's a tool. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm talking with Claude about, because it read over the plans, the current state of the app, and now I'm going to say some more in terms of thoughts that I've had, and I think that'll just put things more into perspective. So in terms of direction to go in before we start building, Claude recommended that we create a mission document, which I think it's because I've been calling it a tool for builders and creators and whatnot, but we have to get specific. Who is this for? What are they able to do? But I have some thoughts first. Everything you said, I agree with it. We need to do some pondering and brainstorming together before we start building. We must create a mission .md, and I had some thoughts in terms of what key is what do you think about viewing these projects as self-experiments where the individual we don't need to put it in this box, but this is another way to look at these project entities, where the user is exploring specific questions and ideas that are relevant to them. What got me thinking in this direction is that the user is intentionally creating something in their lives, whether internal or external, digital, physical, etc., etc. Is that the user is intentionally creating something, whether they the connects all to is Feynman's 12 questions, if you are familiar, which is where Richard Feynman kept 12 questions that shaped his world view and how he thought, and he was constantly testing new ideas on these questions that he was curious about. Once we have a solid idea of the project entity and how people may use this, and hammer down the flow of data from capture to the end of the pipeline, create new ducks to follow in terms of what we are building. This is nice. It's really nice. Really quiet. Treats a product as a container for related captures. The system mental model treats a project as a running thing with state, levers, and a goal, which is essentially an experiment, wouldn't you say? The key thing Feynman was doing wasn't project management, it was maintaining live antennas. Each question has a standing receiver. New information arrived, a paper, a conversation, an observation, and he'd run it through the 12. Most of it didn't match. When something lit up, one of the questions, that was signal worth paying attention to. That's almost exactly what you described. Inspiration is everywhere, and when you're living in alignment, you start noticing it. The billboard, the quote, the conversation, they're only meaningful because you have active questions they can land in. Without the antennas, it's just noise. Damn. Attention in self-experiment. I want to push on this word. Experiment is Feynman's frame. It's rationalist, hypothesis-driven, expects a result. That works for him, but Key's vision is warmer than that. Some of what people are working through is an experiment they can run. It's a question they're living. What is my relationship with risk? Is an experiment. Neither is what kind of creator do I want to be? Or why do I keep pulling back when things get real? Damn. These are lived questions. You don't get an answer, you get deepening clarity over time. The horizon keeps moving. So maybe the distinction is project is the current, a deliverable with a goal state. Self-experiment is a hypothesis being tested. The live question is something you're living through, accumulating understanding. Intention is something you're moving toward without a fixed destination. All of these could live in Key. The question is whether Key needs one model for all of them, or whether the model is flexible enough to hold all 4 shapes. My instinct, the entity is a thread, something you're carrying. It can be a question, an intention, a thing you're building, a thing you're becoming. The word thread is good because threads don't have a fixed end. They can interweave, and you pick them up and put them down, but I'm not attached to the word. Thread. Life threads. Key threads. Your threads. I like it. I like thread. The Feynman model applied to Key. If we take the 12 questions model seriously, it implies a few things. The number should be finite and deliberate. Feynman has 12, not 50. That's something about keeping the set small enough that every new capture actually gets tested against all of them. If Key has 40 active projects, which that would be, the antenna model breaks. You don't hold 40 antennas. Maybe Key nudges toward a small, deliberate set of live questions, 5 to 10, while allowing more dormant or resolved ones. Captures find their projects, not the other way around. In the Feynman model, you don't assign a paper to a question. You run the paper through all 12 and see what lights up. Key should work the same way. You capture freely. The agent surfaces which threads it resonates with. Explicit assignment exists, but automatic resonance matching is more powerful and more aligned with how insight actually works. You didn't know that Billboard would connect to what you've been thinking about. Key makes the connection visible. A question at the center of a project might not be answerable. Success looks like works for Build Key. It doesn't work for what is my relationship with freedom. Well, damn. The project model needs a concept that accommodates both. Something like what would having more clarity look like? Project model needs a concept that something like what would having more clarity, or even just leaving space for the question to remain open indefinitely. The flow, restated, with this framing, the data flow becomes you carry live questions, intentions, threads, you move through the world, something resonates, capture it, Key enriches it, what is this about, which threads does it touch? Over time, corpus per thread deepens, Key surfaces, what does this thread's corpus reveal? What's your current understanding? What's shifted? What's the next move? You act, create, decide, become. New capture cycle continues. The crucial step that doesn't exist yet, which threads does this touch? That's the resonance matching, and it's what makes Key feel like it understands you rather than just storing your notes. What I'd want to nail before writing the mission is two things. What is the entity called? Project is functional but doesn't carry the vision. Some candidates thread, question, experiment, lab, current, inquiry, through line, work. None of these are perfect. Thread is my lean right now. It's a directional but not deadline oriented personal can be. What if it's your key? Make it an entity? What do we think? Ooh. Damn, I need to think on this. Alright, I'm gonna pause here and I'm gonna think on these questions because they're a real doozy. So, on that lovely note, peace and love.